We are live.
Now,
No,
remember,
Gerald, don't let him do it.
you should wait.
No,
a
I think he makes a good point.
Also, did you mean to do croaky, Gerald?
Yes.
Okay, because you've been feeling. Oh, I don't know if that was left over from some other time.
No, I am very croaky, Elliot. I could do my I was born under a wandering star impersonation. That's very good. Lee Marvin, that's who it was. I was born anyway. Let's start, shall we? How about that, eh?
Yeah, you're kicking it off.
I think we're live, aren't we?
Yeah,
we are.
Just about. This is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. I'm Gerald.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Anais.
And today we're discussing Sweet Scoundrel by Diana Sin. If you haven't read the story, pause the podcast, follow the links in the show notes to read the story, nearly 8,000 words in this one, and then return to us. So we've been reading about Robert Sau, and we spin quickly through his life, emigrating with his wife from China to the United States. However, his work over there often takes him back to China, where he maintains an apartment and a mistress who gets pregnant. The main thrust of the story is all about Robert and Tian Tian, or Sugar, her pregnancy, and his and their relationship with his wife and daughter.
Okay, very mysterious summary. I like it though. Yeah, so let's start like we always do. Andy, what did you think of the story overall?
Well, so first off, I'm not prepared to answer that question, Anais. What?
Why would you be? You got a show we do every week. Yeah.
No. Yeah. What is 9 months playing house in Beijing? Is that the name of a collection? What is that? Why is that title on here also?
I don't know. That also
was two titles in this article that we read.
Yeah, but clearly the story is Sweet Scoundrel. They do make that part clear.
They make that part clear. And then where's this other title from? I just wanted to bring it up.
No idea, but you can say that the 9 months playing house in Beijing, ties back to this story. Maybe that's just part of the recommendation by Halima Marcus and Electric Lit, because the story takes place over the pregnancy, 9 months.
Right.
So it might be a subtitle, as it were.
But it's a supra title.
I wouldn't get too hung up on why Electric Lit does it that way. I'm glad they brought us this story. It's a good recommendation by Halima Marcus.
Oh, yeah. I disagree with everything you just said.
You don't think it's a good recommendation?
No, it's the most
recommended this.
Huh?
I didn't realize someone.
Yes, in Electric Lit. Sorry, Gerald. Gerald, you recommended it for the purposes of our podcast without reading it. Halima Marcus read it, something we don't do, and then recommended it. Yeah.
Oh,
that's what Andy's referring to. Like the whole article is called 9 months playing house in Beijing.
Yes. Oh, I understand that, but I see. I got it from because I'm on Electric Lit's newsletter, so I got it from their newsletter. But anyway, let's not get hung up about those details, shall we?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Andy, why don't you like this story and are always wrong?
Bad story. No, so I don't know. The story took the most interesting. Okay, here's what I felt when I was reading it. The story worked with the material, the substance it chose to cover in the most interesting way, and focused on the mistress and the wife is really the point of view characters. Like Robert's sort of a toss away. And that's like, I don't know, the best version of the story, but like just dumb. It's not a good story to start with. I don't know. I know those bits, and it didn't do anything particularly interesting with those bits. Like shitty guys got a wife who's too cool for him, and then has a mistress because he's shitty, and then babies, and he's kind of a bad dad, and daughters.
I think it's a little more complicated than that, though I guess the general thrust is that.
Right. And like it's the best version of that. It was
you
like
should have done the summary, Andy.
It didn't elevate the work for me, right? It was like here's the coolest spin on this they could come up with, but it didn't. I don't know. Yeah.
Gerald, what do you think about Andy's murmurings there? Fair murmurings. That's debating. Totally fair. And I kind of see where Andy's coming from a little bit, but yeah, go ahead.
He's welcome to them. And in a way, I can see where he's coming from, because it's not a massive, vitally important, world-changing story. So in as much as she wrote about something quite small, in a way, but I thought it was a really, really good story. Both times I've read it, I got thoroughly engrossed in it. It's at the top end of our sort of less than 10,000 range, 10,000 word range. So I was not looking forward to it in a way, and because I always find that stories about, and I'm going to come off as quite not. I don't want to come off as racist, but I find stories about other cultures more difficult to get to grips with, because I don't have a handle on the situation and the people and their lifestyle and that sort of thing. But actually, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the reading. I enjoyed how she wrote it. There's some really great little bits dropped in there. Some pithy observations, and it was a good. I'm very pleased that I chose this story, because it was good.
I think you guys both exemplified what I basically wanted to come in saying, which was, I think it's a good writer's story. Like, there's so much skill in how this was crafted, which is what Andy was starting to say, which was like, this was the best version of story that you can make. And Gerald saying there was a lot of things that you really enjoyed about the way that it was written. But I agree with both of you where like the main plot itself isn't the kind of thing that like gets the masses like reading this and consuming it super quickly, right? Like, it's not one of those like, oh my God, look at everything that's happening. It feels very like the plot itself is very, it's not simple. I don't want to say it's simple. There's some dramas here. There's some twists. There's a couple surprises towards the end, right? Like the wife's reaction, Lang's reaction, and I want to debate this with you guys. In my understanding, well, we'll get into the plot in a second. There's one thing where I'm just like, I think there's two surprises. I think Tan Tan also surprised the wife. Anyway, so it's very simple, but it's so well crafted. I really love the way she put in the cultural bits, because it was written in the way that we read like other Western culture fiction, where it's like you're supposed to just know these things, and she's not going to sit there and necessarily explain it, but she gives you enough context clues that you can figure it out anyway. Like, it doesn't feel like it was written for people who don't know about any of this. You're supposed to already know it. It was a good vibe, but it didn't feel over the top. And because it was written by an insider, written by a Chinese American author, it feels very it doesn't have that like othering thing, like I don't want to like come down hard on Memoirs of a Geisha. Remember how like Memoirs of a Geisha is not written by like someone from Japan, so it's like, there's all of these sort of like starred like ooh sort of things going on, like look at this other culture. Like, this doesn't have that. This just is your culture, and you're supposed to read it as if you already understood this, and I really like that. And because it was modern, because like we read on the Literary Roadhouse book club Inheritance by Lan Samantha Chang, and it was it started in 1925, and it was a story of a family before and after World War II. They fled to Taiwan. They immigrated to the United States. So when you have that historical perspective, it feels different, because there is a lot of explaining you need to do at that point, right? Like you're going throughout history, and the culture is changing as the generations, progress. But in this story, it's very modern. It's only after 9 months. It's in our current world. So I just liked it. I feel like I don't read enough of this. So I'm glad that we did that.
And I think there's enough of the culture still there, so it's not like it's a Western story that happens to be placed in Beijing or anything. Exactly. It's I think she straddles the cultures and the attitude really well to be able to bring the culture to a Western audience and not feel like she's not make us work too hard. And it sounds terrible, but it's a westernized story. So I think she did really well to introduce, like you say, the cultural parts. There was enough detail to explain it without dumping on us. So that was I like making the dumplings and what's in the little dumplings and things like that. And it's not something that we would necessarily have known, but it's just becomes part of the story.
Yeah, exactly. And the other reason I say it's like a writer's story is the sort of like very sly, omniscient point of view where she could like jump from head to head. She goes around, like not even from head to head because it's never the I point of view, but like right now she's close to Tiang Tiang. Right now she's close to Robert. Right now she's close to Tiffany. She does it in such a sly way that really helps the tension of the story. Like everything you learn about Lang in the first like 3/4 of it, it's all stuff that's either easily observed by Robert and Tiffany. Like there's not like you never get into her own beliefs or anything that she has secreted away until Tiang Tiang sends her the WeChat message. Like now we get to know who the wife is, right?
Yes.
I thought that was so smart. And then everything, and that's when there's some surprises. So it's really character driven. It's really about these characters who are all given a very fair shake. I don't think any of them are vilified or written as two-dimensional. Like even Robert, like, yeah, he kind of sucks, but he kind of sucks in a very banal sort of like, I get it kind of way.
Right. That's the way he would suck.
Yeah, exactly. And like there's that whole thing where it's like he used to be the guy who had one foot in front of everyone else, and then external factors make his life kind of go to crap, and like he's and he's aging, and that's he's having a bit of a crisis about that. She doesn't call it a crisis, but time wasted in front of the toilet, the accoutrements of old age, right? The way she writes it is lovely. It's definitely a writer's story.
Yeah, I think that's probably true, and I think I like the way that she does the before the story and the after story, and it sort of doesn't feel rushed, although it is. It's just this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, but everything that she tells you and shows you is sort of useful, and yeah, I can see what you're saying about being a writer story. You recognize a writerly style to it, but I really enjoyed that, and yeah, I was gonna put, when I was writing the summary, I was gonna say this guy's the worst, and then I thought about it. I thought actually he's not the worst. He's not a particularly good guy, but he's not the worst. And he has redeeming features, and he tries to do his best, but he's just not very good.
Here comes Gerald defending the shitty guy again, huh? The other story. No, I'm teasing.
No, I'm teasing. Yeah,
that guy was the worst.
But there are endearing moments about Robert, right? Like his genuine excitement about this baby is kind of cute. Okay, ill-conceived through an affair, but he's here so excited for this, right? Which is kind of cute. Like he's, it's not your typical my wife can never find out about this. You must get an abortion kind of thing, right? I mean, he makes some stupid decisions like introducing Tiffany to his mistress, but it's coming from a kind of hopeful place too, right? Like dumb, super dumb. I don't know why you did that, but kind of coming from a nice place.
And I think that probably describes him. Overall, he's not very bright. I don't know what he does, but he's and how he can afford to maintain a mistress and an apartment in a different continent. But yeah, he's the way he deals with personalities and with sort of emotional issues is a bit sort of dumb. Is a bit sort of old style, and he tries to do the right thing, but he doesn't do the right thing because he's not really on the same wavelength as the people around him.
He's naive. I think that's why we keep giving him a pass. He's just so naive. Okay, Robert, you're just kind of dumb. And his wife is not.
Right.
At all. No.
Right. She's way smarter and cleverer and better.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's something about, but also she's not perfect, because there's also something extremely dry and kind of frigid about her, right? Like she doesn't like that her daughter like wants to like reconnect with China because she like there's that line where she's like, oh, because she sees like having a career and a life in China is easier. That she doesn't like that. She doesn't like that her daughter's like, as a Chinese American, I can probably just like go back to China and like have it made, right? She doesn't like this at all. And there's just something about her that's like that can be overbearing, right? But she's more of a realist and she's rolling with these, like she finds out about this mistress and yes, she's hurt by it. She's more hurt by the fact her daughter's keeping this a secret from her than the fact that her husband's having an affair, which I thought was very poignant. But also she's not torn to pieces by it.
No.
She immediately forms a plan, a very sly plan that kind of, this is what I want to talk about. Let's finish talking about the characters because it's very character driven. We got into Robert. Anything you guys want to add about Long?
Yeah, I'm sure I read she had an affair as well, and it's like there's a reference to them both not being good people.
Really?
Did I invent that?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Maybe I missed that. Maybe.
Okay.
Let me try to find it. The part where she gets is this when she's after she's dealing with the message from Tan Tan?
I don't know. Let me just. Interesting. Might have invented it.
Yeah, when she's talking about her secrets. She's sharing her secrets with Tang Tang, another person who she doesn't have to hide from.
Okay.
This is my favorite part. So he had taken a lover.
What is your favorite paragraph you're saying?
No, this is my favorite part of our show where we scour.
Yes. Yeah, we cut it out of the
Oh, we do?
Edit.
Oh.
It's not entertaining if you're not seeing us on video, super focused on getting the story right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So she had taken a. Yeah. So when she found out about the affair and he came back and he was cheerful and he was singing, and he made no overtures in the bedroom. So he had he had taken a lover. Oh.
Yeah, that's when she realizes he had taken the lover. Right.
Maybe it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I was wrong then.
Yep. It sounded familiar when you said it, Gerald, but I think that was just.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think she did, or if she ever has, it's not revealed. She's the one that we kind of know the least about, and again, writerly, crafterly choices here because she's also the most guarded, so we shouldn't know the most about her, right? In fact, we see the exact message that Tang Tang sends to Long, but we don't see the response. We just see her feelings, but we don't actually ever read what she actually says. Part of it is for suspense, plotting, and tension. We don't know what they're plotting together, but part of it is also just like she moves in a very mysterious way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's. I quite like her. I think she tries to maintain her dignity, doesn't she? So she doesn't scream and shout. And at the end, one of the twists that you're talking about, I think that comes across very good. I'm still looking for this bit where
where she's having the affair. Yeah. And I forget which one of you said, but one of you was saying how the story seems mostly driven by Tang Tang and Long's decisions. That's kind of true, and it isn't. Again, Robert being so naive, like I agree. A lot of the tension and the surprises are driven by those two women. But Robert really kicks things off by choosing to have this affair, and Robert kicks it off again, like there's sort of like an act 1, act 2, kicks it off again when he starts to then introduce Tiffany to the mistress, right? But it's almost like his decisions almost just like because he's so naive and kind of like dumb hopeful, like you're just like, okay, he's just dumb. Everyone else is the ones who seem like they have the most agency here. Yeah. So let's talk about Tang Tang a little bit too. What's she like?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I mean, it's not good to go off and leave your child behind, even if she was doing it for the best of intentions because she knew that the child would be looked after. But there's a little bit of being selfish there, I think.
Yeah, but she's been like, that's been her touchstone all along, is that she's pragmatic, right?
Mm.
And very resilient.
Right. She's going to keep going.
And don't forget, one of the things when she writes to Long, one of the things that she says is, you need to understand, as a woman in China, I'm always stuck. And I think she would have felt more stuck, because what was Long really trying to do here? Yes, she's drawing this woman in as sort of an ally, but she's also trying to control her in a way, right? She's like, I'm going to send you the money, not my husband. You're going to be talking to me. Like, I'm going to have more control on what's happening here. One of the things that's really clear in that conversation they have, I had to go back and read it actually, because the first time when she leaves the baby, I'm like, wait, is that what the wife was expecting? And I had to like go back and triple check. And no, the wife was expecting mother and child to steal away into some rural part or some other city of China. And she kept assuring her, yes, I'll keep sending you money. Of course, we're always connected, of course, because, you know, our children share the same father. But she's manipulating her, right? She's sort of like paying her off and paying her to go off stage. She's going to be stuck again with that arrangement. She's going to be beholden to this woman forever. And I think that part of her is just like, wipe this slate clean, leave the baby here. Robert's going to take him back to the US. He's going to be better off in America. I get to try over. And there's a hint that she even like wants to like learn new things and potentially like actually like have like a career instead of being a hostess at a karaoke, you know, the house. So like that's the way that I read it. It's like it was her final sort of act of just like, no, I'm not going to keep doing this thing that the wife does, because the wife's going to have way too much control.
Yeah. You can understand that. Yeah. And she was, to an extent, she was beholden to Robert anyway, wasn't she? Because, you know, she was just there and he would turn up when he turned up and she would wait for him to phone her, and I thought it was a nice bit when she imagined where he was calling her and he was in the car park at work. Eating his oatmeal, and I just think, it's
Robert's such a sad sack.
Yeah.
It's hard to vilify somebody who's like that pathetic.
Yes. He's not. I don't think he's manipulative, is he? He's just a bit stupid.
Yeah.
Or something.
The wife is. She's manipulative. Tiang is.
Yes.
Not as much. Not as good as the wife, but. And the daughter is very sort of, you can see the Americanness in her. She's more individual. And that's written about in the story. That sort of overconfidence of never having not been safe, of knowing she's more or less in charge of her future, comes across really well without having to dwell on it. Again, just like good writer skills. It's such a writer story.
And that's the danger, isn't it? When you study writing, and you read something and you admire something that has writing skills in it, and it might be different for a non-writer, Andy.
Yeah,
maybe.
Right.
And my boyfriend read this with me, and he kind of had a little bit of that reaction where he was just like, okay. He's like, I liked it. I like the cultural bits, but okay. Like, it's not the themes being explored, I guess, like certain things being explored didn't really like move him or make him think or make him have any strong feelings. He's just like, all right, Jing Tang's cool, Lon's cool, all right, you know, cool. Yeah, he wasn't frustrated by the story in any way, but it's really a sort of story where the joy is in analyzing the characters as we've done, and not so much what's happening with the plot or like it is part of the theme being explored, but it's not. The exploration is like, how was it crafted instead of like, how did it make you feel?
Right.
And I thought it was good also that Tiffany, because Tiffany was, you know, it came across initially as sort of independent, typical sort of, not a brat, but she's quite dismissive towards her parents, and I think that's fairly normal. But I think when she was towards the end, when she got the message from Tian and it made her look at herself and look at her own life and maybe wonder if she was heading down the same sort of route as Tian Tian, and looking at the boy she was with and thinking, maybe I should do something more with my life.
Yeah, which is funny because she's like in college, but like that doesn't mean anything anymore in America. That may or may not set you up.
No, same here. Same. It's funny that.
It doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've kind of gone through all my notes though. Anything else you guys want to add?
I don't think so. I think I've said everything. I think again at the end, I like the bit where it was almost like the sort of epilogue, and Robert discovering the child left on its own, and then taking it back to United States, and Albert loved cars and all this sort of stuff. And I think, yeah, it's kind of nice for her to fill in this little bit and not just end it there. That it sort of rounds it off and ends it nicely, and yeah, and just sitting at the table smiling broadly over a bowl of dumpling. So again, there's that cultural bit right at the end, and well,
also I like that it recontextualizes the mean picture Tiffany took earlier, right? Where it's like, his stupid dad's got a lap full of dumpling soup because that serves him right. And it's like, no, here's a picture of your family, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, one thing, I'm glad you brought up the ending. The driving home again, the pragmatism of Lang is she wants to divorce him at that point. She doesn't want to raise this baby, but then she's diagnosed with breast cancer. She's like, that's not pragmatic anymore. So instead to tell everyone, that this child's from like relatives back home in China that they're raising in the US now. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Yeah, just like drives home that point again. Can you imagine?
So that's
yeah.
So it's that phrase where after she discovered and accused him of causing the cancer because of the bitterness, but then because she needed him, she stayed. Over time, mutual guilt tempered mutual anger. I thought that's a nice. He really did sort of paint that picture for you that they're both in this relationship, and it's just they're both in it for different reasons, but not for the sake of the relationship. It's just sort of more convenient and useful that way.
Yeah, which is again complicated, and it feels very real. And after having lived with these characters for the past 7,000 words or so, you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Which is again just like real good writing. So she's good at writing. Write more. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Are we ready to rate?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna come in with a 5 because I really enjoyed it. Didn't have the subtext and the juicy stuff underneath very much, but there was a lot of good character and relationship analysis and beautifully exposed. So yeah, a 5 for me.
Okay.
I was going to give it a 3, but I think I will give it a 4.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm glad the discussion had an impact. And I'm coming in at a 4.5 just because we've rated so many of these things and I know what I've given 5s to. And there was more of a thrill of reading it without having to put your writer hat on, but it was also just so good. So 4.5.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So Gerald, what are we reading next? Oh, I mean, Andy, sorry. This was
I was going to say
Andy.
Andy. Next week we'll be reading Flashlight by Susan Choi.
Okay. But before you go, share your thoughts on these complicated characters in our Facebook group, the Literary Roadhouse Readers. Help others read diversely by leaving a review on iTunes and supporting our podcast expenses at patreon.com/Literary Roadhouse. Every bit helps. And as always, share this podcast with the KTV hostess in your life. Until next time, read a good story.